She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bedtime Stories here on the Paranormal Portal. Bedtime Stories From Beyond. Hope you're doing great. Everything is wonderful. Had a great day today. Took the minion to the lake. Sat out in some sunshine and had a nice time. It was a good day. I hope your weekend is wrapped up real well as well, but I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are now officially underway as far as I can tell. Just had a phone call, but I had to reject that because, well, it's showtime. But it was our good friend Cindy Goodbreak was giving me a call, but I'll have to give her a call back and find out just what was going on. But anyway, I'm sure if it's important, she'll text me or something. But anyway, hope you guys are doing great. It's just been a phenomenal day. Beautiful day outside. Beautiful time to spend with family and stuff. And I hope you had a wonderful time with those you love as well. But it's been a great weekend. We had some great shows. Don and I had a great show last night. Really enjoyed ourselves and had a lot of wonderful call-ins. It was great to hear from all the listeners and stuff. So really, really cool. Let's see. What was I going to say? We got another podcast coming out tomorrow, of course. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Look for Paranormal Portal wherever you find your podcasts. And that can be on Pandora. It can be on iTunes. It can be on iHeart. It can be... wherever you find podcasts, there should be a Paranormal Portal just waiting there for you. In fact, there should be several of them. So we've got, I think this is episode 40 that'll be released tomorrow, or 41. I don't remember which, but we've got a lot out on deck already. Great response. Thank you to those of you who have been checking them out and who have been letting other people know about it. We get lots of really cool listener mails now, just people finding the show and telling us that they love the show, and it's just really cool. Just got another one, Don. I see you're in the chat room. I just got one just moments ago. Somebody saying they loved the podcasts, and I think they were talking about the YouTube ones though, because they said the podcast videos. But in any case, however you're finding the portal, if you're finding it at all those places, or just one or the other, just thank you so much for supporting what we're doing. It just means the world to us. So, and thanks for giving us the feedback too. I mean, that's really, really cool because, it's just great to hear that all these efforts are being appreciated. And special thanks to those of you who have helped us out either by buying gear in our store on Teespring, and you can find in the description of this video is a link to our Teespring store that, you can buy t-shirts, mugs, stickers, cell phone cases. I got to get one too. I got to get one of my own cell phone cases because, I need one. The one I had was, it was salmon colored, and this is my wife's old phone. I got her old phone, and she, of course, got a new one. But it also came with her old phone case, which my wife likes pink. And I thought it was more salmon colored, but every time I whipped it out, people would say, "Hey, how come your phone case is pink?" So I need to get one of our own phone cases for my phone. Don, you and I'll have to touch base on that one. So anyway, But there's some great stuff out there. Lots of different price points, to make it easy on you. If you just wanna throw us a donation, you're welcome to do that as well. That certainly goes a long way. And you see over here, there's a link above that says to donate. There's a PayPal.me link. That sure helps a bunch. Again, I don't ever want to like panhandle during the shows and stuff, but I just want you all to know that it does take a lot to do these shows. It takes a lot of time investment. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of monetary investment on our end just to keep everything going and to keep getting the equipment we need and upgrades and paying for the steeper internet charge just to make sure we got the best bandwidth possible, et cetera, et cetera. No, that's not your fault. That's my fault. I decided to do a show. But I'm just saying, if you're liking what you're seeing and you want to be a part of helping, that's awesome. It's not expected, though. Just you guys being here is amazing to us. So whichever way you want to do it. But anyway, I'm just throwing it out there because we got bills to pay. So anyway, on with the show, ladies and gentlemen. We got some stories pulled up for you guys. As usual on the portal, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in and be a part of the shows, you certainly can. Duke, I sent you a message on MeWe, by the way. I haven't been able to solidify some of the details so I can get a hold of you in order to do work on some logistics of next month. But I'll be getting a hold of you, so I haven't forgotten. But call in if you want to call in, ladies and gentlemen. Please do. Hi, Noli. Good to see you. Noli 420 is in the house. I guess I should say who's in here. But the phone number to the show, I keep kind of going sideways on this. The phone number to call in is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So you can call in and be a part of the show, share a paranormal event of your own. If you've just got some feedback, you just want to call and say hi, whatever, cool. If you would rather not call in, you don't like being on the whole idea of talking in front of so many people, Cha-Cha's here. Well, life is definitely improving every moment, isn't it? Love you, dear. But you can also email. You can email us at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and you can certainly submit your stories or ideas or whatever that way. So few options are available, all of which I hope are good ones. So what the hell was I going to say? I went three different directions. Oh, the participants list. See who is in here. Again, the participants list on YouTube is never very good. Don said he figured out a way to refresh that and get it more complete, but I unfortunately was multitasking when he told me, and I've forgotten what he said. So I do see Bama BF in there. Duke, Brian Sullivan, the Duke is in here. Cha-Cha's in here. Chris Guy is in here. Excuse me. Lisa Heilman is in here. Noli 420. I'm in here. Renee Cruz is in here. Rivers is in here. Tesla Tech 89 is in here. And Ken the Rotman from Down Under is in here. And Truth Hip Hop Consciousness is in here. So that's funny because Josh was the first one in, and his name isn't even on this list. So go figure. But Josh, I know you're here. Chacha's here. Let's see. Digger Dog is in here. Good to see you. So thanks for everybody that's coming in, and as you're coming in, I'll do my best to see, I'll do my best to see you and give you a shout out then as well. We certainly appreciate you guys coming in. Yeah, that'll help. Another child will definitely be the difference. Oh, Marilena, good to see you. Marilena Bonavita. Wonderful. Cha-cha-cha. Oh, my God. What was that lady's name? Cha-Cha was the lady's name, actually, from the 70s, that entertainer. She was like a dancer. She was always on the Love Boat. I remember that. Her name was Cha-Cha, I think. That's right. I'd completely forgotten about that. Well, that makes it better. All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I got some stories pulled up for you. I hope to keep you wildly entertained throughout the course of our journey here. Oh, that was Charo. You're right, Duke. Charo. Damn, I thought it was Cha-Cha, but didn't she always used to say Cha-Cha-Cha or something like that? Yeah, Charo. Yeah, it was like one of the first one-name entertainers. Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm just doing a walk down memory lane here in the chat room, ladies and gentlemen, so Coochie Coochie. Coochie Choochie. Yeah. Yeah, she was uh, a little pistol. I remember that from on the Love Boat days. All right. So anyway, let's go this route through the stories that we have pulled up. Okay. So first state we're going to, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the great state of Illinois, or Illinois, for those people that are more familiar with it. All right. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I went out to breakfast with my dad at a restaurant called Olympic Star. I know it's either in or near Tinley Park, so maybe you heard of it. Well, I excused myself from the table to use the bathroom, and I opened the squeaky door and went into the bathroom. And since there were only 3 stalls and all the doors were open, I knew no one was in the bathroom except me. Well, I walked into one of the stalls and turned around and locked the door, and as soon as I did, the door started to violently shake back and forth by itself, as if someone was trying to get in from the other side. I looked through the crack in the door, and all I saw was a transparent red color about 5 feet high, about where someone's shirt would have been, but I could see right through it. Then, after the door stopped shaking, I heard a loud, prolonged sigh, as if someone was frustrated that they couldn't open the stall door, or it was just too late. Maybe oh, dang it, I didn't make it. Suddenly, everything just stopped, as if someone flipped a switch. No one had opened or closed the door leading into the bathroom the entire time that I was in there, and if they did, I would have heard it. Plus, I would have been able to see the person's feet from the opening at the bottom of the stall door. But there weren't any feet to be seen, and I immediately searched the bathroom to see if anybody really was in there, but there was really nobody in there. And I find it very odd that a possible entity was angry because it couldn't open a door when it could probably just walk right through it. To this day, many years later, I still don't have a clue what happened in that bathroom, but something happened that I'll never be able to explain. It probably had a load of ectoplasm it needed to drop off in the stool there. Come on, let me in, come on. This is my stall, man. Oh, so it probably just ectoed itself. I don't know. That to me is just funny in my head. But I'm a little punchy tonight, ladies and gentlemen, which is good. But that's what you get. It's been a long weekend. All right, so the next one's coming out of New York. You hear that? It's like being on MASH. Do you hear that helicopter? Oh, that's low. It's like I can feel the vibration on the table. Yep. Wow, that doesn't sound like the normal one. That sounded like one of those military birds or something. I know they have a Black Hawk company near here that repurposes Black Hawks, and I think they just did one that they sent over to Iceland or something like that. And yeah, so every once in a while they'll fly overhead. They're much rarer though, but they definitely have a stronger thump to them. But yeah, I could feel the table vibrating with the cadence of that engine. That's pretty hardcore. All right, so we're going to New York. All right. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, this one should be okay. I thought it was one of those paranormal logs that sometimes show up in these, but not this time. It says, "We've started journaling the paranormal activity in our house, and as far as we know, the previous owners had never talked about any paranormal activity. And we didn't know them personally, but a coworker was a good friend of theirs and had been to this house frequently. She said the previous owners never mentioned any paranormal activity to her. However, the next time she sees them, she's going to pointedly ask if there had been any experiences. It has given me cause to start researching what previously stood on this site of the present house, and this is actually my husband's story, but he gave me permission to post it here. On Saturday afternoon, I left the house with my 2 daughters and their friends to visit one of our local museums. And yes, I have teens who actually enjoy museums, especially if they're haunted. We left my husband, Carl, at home by himself, except for our 9-year-old dog, Misha, a Sheltie Terrier mix. And Carl was in the kitchen next to the stairs that led down to the basement. And this is also Misha's favorite place to hang out, so she was there. teasing for a belly rub, and Carl happened to glance down the steps and saw a little boy looking up at him. The boy was about 3 or 4 years old, and he had blonde hair and was wearing a blue shirt, black pants, and suspenders. The little boy was smiling at Carl and waving to him, and Carl was very surprised. He had seen a white lady apparition on our upstairs hallway before, as well as a white girl apparitions in the Rolling Hills Paranormal Research Center, the haunted asylum located in East Bethany, New York, which is open for public ghost hunts. But this was the first time he had seen a color apparition. Carl quickly ran into the office to grab my camera to take a pics, but the boy was gone when he returned. Of course he was gone. He then ran to our bedroom to grab his cell sensor EMF and took it down the stairs to the spot where he had seen the boy, and the needle went off the gauge. In this area, the alarm went off, and when he received the EMF detector from his loving wife for Christmas, he had taken around the whole house to see what kind of readings he got in different areas. And in that landing at the bottom of the stairs, the needle barely moved. Besides seeing the little boy apparition, he also saw a shadow person about halfway across the family room in the basement, rising up from behind the love seat that sits perpendicular to the stairs door. The shadow person was also gone when he returned with the meter. He immediately called my 13-year-old daughter, our ghost magnet, on her cell phone to ask her to describe the little boy she had seen on the same set of stairs on a different day, peeking up at her in the living room. The descriptions matched. Well, now we have to find out who the little boy is and why he's in our house. They're moving in. It's a tenement of poltergeists. A poltergeist tenement, maybe. No, I don't think so. I don't know. It depends on what the history is of that house. Perhaps it was always there, and now it's just making itself known. I don't know. Very cool, though. Next, we're going to... Okay, Don, you listening? Oregon. Are you happy? Oregon. If I say Oregon, he gives me a bunch of crap. So, hey, Don, we're going to Oregon. I was home alone one day in the bathroom doing, well, girl things, hair, makeup, etc. And I started to get this weird feeling like I wasn't alone in my own house. Usually I see a glimpse of things moving around every once in a while, but this was really different. The lights went off, and I remember it getting extremely cold. Without warning, something grabbed my throat and was making me unable to breathe. As it felt minutes passed on, but it was only seconds, I fell to the bathroom floor on my knees, and I didn't know how I did this, but I was able to say, why? Whatever held me by the neck let go, and I was able to breathe. I looked up to see a dark figure in the shape of a man standing above me. It grabbed me again and knocked me off my knees, making me bash my head against the sink. I remember it saying to me, "You don't have the right to question me. You listen and do as you're told." Here is where I made my second mistake. I tried to get up and run out of the bathroom, but before I could make it a step, it grabbed me and made me fall, and it grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back. And then what it felt like fingernails digging into my arm. This still happens, but not always in the bathroom. If anyone knows why they're able to hurt us, let me know. If anyone has any information on anything, please write. Thanks. I don't know. See, that's one of those stories that you don't really know what to make of it, because it would seem this isn't just a one-off kind of haunting. This isn't the kind of activity that it just happened and then it's over. I mean, hauntings generally happen in a scale. I mean, they start out subtle and get more progressive, and things escalate over a period of time. It doesn't just like all of a sudden something shows up in your house and starts beating the hell out of you. I mean, not that it couldn't happen, but that's really, really extraordinarily rare. Now this is incredibly unusual because, one, the person felt very physical manipulations, like they felt they were grabbed. They felt like their head was slammed into the sink. They felt their arm get twisted and even nails digging into their arms. They asked questions and were given auditory, at least they felt it was auditory. It could have been telepathic, but they were given responses. all of this stuff is completely atypical to a normal haunting. Um, it doesn't even make sense for like a demonic kind of attack because, again, demonic attacks are geared towards taking over. They're geared towards like tearing apart what you are. And it's if it is an entity, I don't know what kind it is. I don't know what the angle is for that because it's just a dominance play. If this is truly a genuine story, and I can't really weigh in either way, but my gut instinct is to say that it's probably not because for a one-off story to be so absolutely profound, have no other information whatsoever. Just like, hey, I was in the bathroom one day and wow, look what happened. And it's this over-the-top, incredibly acute kind of encounter, and then that's it. And hey, anybody have any ideas, please help. Well, there's got to be more to the story if this is a genuine haunting, like weeks or months or years more to this story. And, there's just nothing to go on here. I guess if it was me, the first thing I'd be doing is, of course, checking into the history of the house, the property, anything having happened in there, or, was there a person that died in there that was really a real bastard or something? I don't know, those kind of things. But, these are kind of hard to even weigh in on because they're just so encapsulated and out of context that there's nothing really to go on other than this person got thrown around and hurt. So I'm not saying it's not a genuine haunting, but I'm saying that there's nothing to go on. There's absolutely nothing to go on except these extraordinarily profound activities with absolutely no context whatsoever. So I wouldn't know what to tell this person. Get help, I guess. Get someone to bless your house or, exercise the home or whatever and try to purge the negative energy. But very strange kind of activity. For a one-off, that's really, really, really unheard of. Okay, so the next one's going to New Jersey. This is a story that was related to me by my second cousin, and when the happenings and then the happenings to me and my daughter in later years. My second cousin, who would be in her 90s, if alive today, told me her ghost story. When she was in her 20s, she and her current boyfriend, I guess in her 20s, were talking about death and being contacted from beyond the grave. And he told her if anything happened to him, he would let her know he was okay. And she replied, how, and he said through a clock. Excuse me. She said okay and wondered what he meant, and 6 months later, he killed himself, and my cousin was so sad she couldn't eat, messed up at work and had trouble sleeping, and she was on the verge of losing her job. And that night when she got home from work, her aunt, who was raising her, told her that the weirdest thing happened. She stated that an old broken clock in the basement kept gonging and wouldn't stop until she put it on the floor and stomped on it. My cousin took this as a sign from the boyfriend, and it helped her to get over her grief. In 1983, my mother died on Christmas Eve in January, and I was going over her belongings. She lived with me, and decided to put her alarm clock on my den. It had a lighted dial, and I thought it would be good to keep on top of the TVs, and this was before TVs displayed the time at a push of the button. That night I had a dream, but it was really early in the AM. It was still dark, and the dream consisted of me standing in darkness and a voice telling me I had psychic powers and to use them. At first I was scared and I refused the gift. The voice was persistent, and so I agreed to having them. People started appearing in my dream, and I ran up to each one of them, telling them of my gift, and then a loud, scary sound started. I woke up and still heard it and realized it was my mother's alarm clock going off. I got out of bed and went into the den to turn off the alarm button. This old clock had the pin in the back that you pulled out to let it ring and push it in to turn it off, but when I tried to push it in, I realized it was already pushed in. The alarm was set to go off at 8 a.m. and it was only 3:59. I then realized it was my mom saying hi. Instead, I yanked the cord out of the wall to make it stop. Years later in the 90s, I moved to Florida, and my daughter had the alarm clock sitting on her TV on Christmas Eve one of those years. It rang again, and the pin was not pulled out at that time either. The clock is wrapped up in a box and stored now. Yeah, that'll do it. Excuse me. All right. Pretty cool. They can let you know, ladies and gentlemen, they can let you know. Be kind of cool, I guess, to make a contract like that. Hey, if you go before me, I tell you what, do this. And then, of course, you got to do it then. Unless you're really not okay, then I guess you can't. But all right, let's go to Virginia. Wonder what happened to Virginia. We used to have a listener in Virginia in here all the time, and she hasn't been around lately. Not sure where she went, though. All right. Are you following Paranormal Portal on Facebook? Who's Big? Oh, Bigfoot in Germany. Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, follow us on Facebook. Thank you, Cha-Cha. Love the name. Keep loving the name. But if you want to keep up with what's going on in the show, then definitely follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And you can check in and see what's going on. If there's ever going to be an announcement about the show, like if I'm running late or something happened and there's not going to be a show or anything like that, I'm going to announce it there. So that's a great place if you want to keep up with what's going on. If there's ever any questions about, hey, you're late, whatever. If you don't see anything posted there, then we're just late. But if there is a reason and there's going to be some kind of problem, I will definitely post it there on Facebook. So just so you know, that's a great place to keep up with any of current events for the show. All right, next we're going to Virginia, as I said. Sorry, just being out and out of that sunshine got me all coffee today. All right, coughing, I guess, not coffee, but Here are a couple of occurrences that happened to me and my Navy buddies. And sorry, I got to move my fan a little bit. It started making more noise. It says, here's what happened to me and my Navy buddies when we were stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. 3 of us shared an apartment off base, and it was two bedroom and 1 bath apartment. And my friend Brian had 1 room, and I think it's our friend had the 2nd room. Our friend Jason had the 2nd room, and it was more or less the guy on the couch. I was more or less the guy on the couch. Sorry, I'm just splitting my attention now. I'm trying to do too many things mentally. If you've seen the racks, beds, and ships bathing and sleeping quarters, you understand why I opted to stay on my friend's couch. We all had a great time during Liberty, and on nights where we weren't out raising what. We'd chill out and watch movies and usually order a pizza. During one of our chill nights, our friend Jason started asking us if we'd ever experienced anything odd in the apartment, and there were a few things that would weird us out, but we never really discussed it much further, and he would tell us of times that he would be there alone and hear a little girl laughing in his room. That's so creepy. The TV would turn off and on by itself, and the remote would always be moved from place to place. Very, very strange, we thought, and we gave him a hard time and told him to chill out with the drinking. Haha. A week or so after we all discussed this, we were in the living room watching a movie when Jason said, "See, look at my door. It's open now." He claimed to have shut the door, and now it was wide open, and the 3 of us went to the door, shut it, and each gave it a heave with our shoulder, making sure it wasn't just the door. And sure enough, we'd get into watching the movie and look over, and the door would be wide open. It would always do that from then on, like it didn't want the door shut. I don't know if this is related, but both Brian and Jason would ask me what I would do late at night after they went to bed, because they would hear me talking in a weird voice in the living room. And they would also venture into the kitchen and see me sitting bolt upright facing the wall, unresponsive. Weird. I don't remember anything like that. We had another friend who lived on Ocean Boulevard. Supposedly, a prostitute was murdered in the bathroom of the apartment, and they had one of those Ghostbuster toy backpacks with the rod hanging on the wall as a joke. And one night, some people were over and were talking about the woman who lost her life there. And being the ignorant, intoxicated sailors they were that evening, they started yelling at her and asking her how much a night and cursing at her. Oh, that's horrible. I was pretty disgusted at how disrespectful all that was when all of a sudden a loud rear, rear, rear broke the banter. It says rear. It's how it's spelled, so I'm just reading it how it's written. The sound was coming from the Ghostbusters toy that was on the wall across the room from where everybody was. The only way to make it go off was to press the trigger on it, and it was purely mechanical, not electrical, so for it to go off, the trigger has to be pulled. Needless to say, the tough guy shut up really quickly and headed outside to the balcony. I'm not going to say that I wasn't a bit freaked out, but I didn't chuckle to myself thinking, you showed them, girl. I stayed inside and talked with my friend who lived there, and he proceeded to tell me that on many occasions when he woke up, his cell phone would be off his nightstand and on the middle of the floor in a puddle of water or on a damp carpet. And I think that may have tied in with the way of her passing, which was a bathtub with water. Those are yet a few of my true stories. More to follow. Peace and love. Huh. And he did submit a whole bunch more. But I'll just keep going on the ones I have pulled up. We'll get to his sooner or later, I'm sure. The next one's coming from Wisconsin. This story is quite extensive, but I'm being patient, so I request politely that you are as well. Okay. Wow, it starts out with a little control here. I have quite an amount of information on the paranormal, but this is one experience which has befuddled me for years. When I was 6 years old, I lived in a 100-year-old Victorian 3-story home in the very small village of Florenceville, New Brunswick, Canada. My father and I have always been quite close, but as a young child, he was gone frequently on business. And being a kid, I missed him and would look forward to the days he would come home, even though I was young, and I remember this distinctively. Excuse me. I was playing in my bedroom and drawing in cardboard boxes to make homes for my toys. I have a very vivid memory, mind you. I think it means imagination, but this is all... Oh, well, I guess he's recalling some things that happened years ago. This is all true and exactly as I remember. From the hallway, I heard my name being called in a man's voice. My father had been gone for some amount of weeks, and I thought perhaps he had showed up at home to surprise me. Naive, I know. I was excited, and I ran out of my room to meet him. My bedroom was on the second floor, and from the hallway outside of my room, I could look over the railing and see the entryway below. And I looked over the railing, or rather through the railing, being as short as I was, and below saw the figure of a man standing silently. There was nothing significant about him, and I noticed immediately that he was not my dad. In fact, he was not anything, just a blackness, contoured like a man. His face, he didn't have a face, merely an outline of what a face would be, but blank, just dark. But I could tell he looked up at me. At that point, I screamed and ran into my bedroom, and my mom ran out of the kitchen, and when she finally coaxed me out of the room, there was nothing in the entryway. I had dreams about that man for years, but it merely became a memory. Shortly after that particular incident, my family moved from Florenceville to Moses Lake, Washington, so that my father wouldn't need to travel so often. And the next incident with the shadow man was when I was about 8. I was sleeping in a bedroom, which I shared with my younger sister, and woke up one night for no particular reason. At that time, I was a very heavy, deep sleeper, as opposed to now I'm an extremely light sleeper. And It was surprising that I was awake. Something in my room felt weird. As a child, would think something was weird. I sat up in my bed and noticed immediately at the end of the bed was a figure, and his elbows leaned on the edge, head in his hands, staring at me. I thought I was seeing something until it cocked its head. Needless to say, I hid under the covers, nauseous, until morning. Nearly a year later, I was in my bedroom nearing night, getting ready for bed. I opened my closet door, and in the corner was a figure of a man, his knees held up to his chest in a very childish position, his head hidden in his arms, and the next few weeks he began appearing subtly in my dreams. But I didn't see him again for quite some time. In fact, I don't remember seeing him again for many, many years after that. When I was about 11, I moved from Moses Lake to my current location in the middle of Wisconsin. For the sake of safety, I won't give the name of the city. I didn't think too much about the Shadow Man until I turned 14 that year. I started to become very agitated out of nowhere. When I walked up the stairs from my basement, my heart would race for no apparent reason. My basement was finished, so it's not like a scary basement, not in any way. Nothing provoked these feelings at all. And out of the corner of my eye during these times of the day, I started seeing a darkness that was slightly unnerving. Being older, I figured I was just imagining things, and I refused to connect the darkness to the Shadow Man that I had seen when I was just a child. I began waking up in the middle of the night, scared to death for what seemed like absolutely no reason. Of course, you could associate this as some sort of mental illness or whatever, I'm not sure. But I have no history of being distraught or what have you. I was having panic attacks on a regular basis because I was just getting so frustrated and scared of whatever seemed constantly to be around me. After a year of this, there was an evening that really set everything up for me. It had been a few months since my last panic attack and thought everything was just fine, and I was laying in bed, not able to sleep, thinking about school or my friends or something, and when I heard a really loud rattling noise, my dog, that sleeps in my bedroom with me, was laying on the bed next to me, and she woke up upon hearing the noise immediately, and I recognized the noise as being the beads hanging in my closet door handle, and they were rattling violently, and when I looked in their direction, the noise stopped. The beads were moving just slightly, but the door was absolutely closed. And what I first noticed, though, was a black figure in the shape of a man looking at me. Well, I admit I was absolutely shaken. But upon seeing him face to face for the first time since childhood, I really didn't feel terrified. In fact, I became quite calm. I should more thoroughly explain this man. When I see him, like I just said, I feel calm. But sometimes when I merely catch him out of the corner of my eye, I feel uneasy. His full-bodied appearances are sometimes accompanied by a slight tapping noises, but since the bead night, nothing quite so loud has ever been heard. When I look at him, he does not immediately disappear. He appears to be dark, but since I usually see him in the dark, I recognize that he is not only black, but he is literally void of any light. Darker than the dark that surrounds him, like a black hole with a body. There are countless other instances I could record, and if you have any interest in it, you could share with others, but for now, there's just a couple other points I'd like to make for you to really understand his nature, or perhaps you can help me to understand. I'm feeling uneasy when he's around. I feel calm. If I'm feeling uneasy when he's around, I feel calm. Sometimes, though, when I think too much about what he really might be, I get scared. I don't know if it's his intentions or if I'm just crazy. If he's some sort of evil is trying to trick me or something that needs help. The fact that he's followed me from Canada to Washington to Wisconsin is really unnerving. I don't think spirits could tag along with a person. I've heard of possessions, but I wouldn't even consider this as one. When I become uneasy about his presence, I've told him so. In fact, on many occasions, I've made his presence known aloud, speaking to him, saying, hello, or at times yelling at him to go away and leave me alone, and usually he doesn't. But sometimes he seems deterred and will leave for long periods of time, sometimes weeks or even months. My longtime boyfriend is a partial believer in the paranormal and certainly open-minded, and I've told him all of the details of my shadow man, and he seems quite interested but thinks it's really just all in my head. At one point, he challenged him, trying to provoke him to show himself. Sorry, just trying to cough out the day. A week later, my boyfriend called me in the middle of the night, stating he woke up with a start, and as he looked towards his door, what seemed to be a cat, void of light, was in the foot of his bed. He described it with the exact same qualities as my shadow man. The cat apparently leapt from the floor, claws out towards my boyfriend as if it were trying to claw at his face. It disappeared just before it made contact. Whenever my boyfriend spends the night, there are occasions where Shadow, as we now call him, will show up, and I've felt emotions from Shadow, usually curiosity, when it's just me, or calmness or sadness. But when my boyfriend is around, I feel intense jealousy or anger. The only times I'm ever afraid of his presence. I need some opinions or some stories from anyone who has had a similar experience. Can spirits, or whatever he is, be intelligent enough to have varying emotions? Sure. Is he maybe jealous of my boyfriend? Maybe. My boyfriend thinks he may have a liking for me since he's been with me for nearly 11 years. Is this possible? Any experts out there? Nope, there are no experts. There's no experts. Does this sound like a good or bad entity? What should I do? I don't know. Trust your gut. I've seen him for a few months. The last time I saw him, my boyfriend was with me, and I told him off. I hate to admit it, but I kind of miss his presence, but don't know whether to call him back or leave it be. Could this be possibly need me for something? Should I be afraid or flattered? I think she's making it into a Twilight. Seriously. She's going full Cullen on this deal. Thank you for spending so much time reading all the words of the story. I appreciate it greatly, and any help would be fantastic. I'll post further stories at a later time. Yeah, I don't know. Is it possible that a ghost could fall in love with someone? Sure. I mean, if it's a former person, yeah, they could definitely harbor feelings, much like they could if they're alive. The only difference between a ghost of a person or a person is that one of them doesn't have a physical body. They still have the same emotional range that they had in life, usually, except in cases where maybe they're confused or, perhaps it's only a fragment of the full soul or something. But in most cases, yeah, they can. They could be somebody that, just took a liking to the girl and stuck around, and I don't know. But it sounds like she's going full Twilight on it too, and I don't think that's healthy either. So I don't know. That's a weird one. Well, I don't know. Bigfoot and Germany, they could probably love. Is it a good love? I don't know. It kind of depends on what you have in your mind for a spirituality. What do you think happens? Are you coming from a Christian place, or are you coming from a esoteric place, or are you coming from a cult place, wherever, or other traditions? I don't know. I think that love would still be possible, but I don't think it's very likely. But again, I think she's really romanticizing the situation quite a bit. So could be, but you never know. All right. Let's see what's going on. Next story. I'll go better. All right, New York. We're going to New York. Can I pronounce that any more Midwestern? Hey, we're going to New York. All right, let's see what's going on in New York. New York. As we sometimes sit in my parents' living room, we'll see a figure of a person go by the living room window. My dad, he also experiences this in his living room, and I've actually seen a woman with a red turban on her head run by. My other aunt, who is still alive, says my aunt who passed away wore this color turban on her head. I've also seen a man figure. My dad or I will go to the door thinking someone has come to visit and nobody will be there. Just recently, my mom has seen someone walk by and nobody's there. And this gives me cold chills because I don't understand what's happening to my dad and me. My gut feeling tells me this is my grandfather and my deceased aunt. I also have dreams of somebody getting sick, and it happens not to the person I dream about, but to somebody I know, usually in the same family. And I dream my younger brother went in a coma, and it actually happened to my brother, who was 2 years older. If you could help me with this experiences, I will tell you some more things that have happened to me in my dreams also. It has happened to me so much that I tell my mother to watch out for family members who seem sick. And I just had a dream in October 2007 that my dad had a stroke, but it was my Uncle Larry, and he died shortly after. Well, those are some serious premonitions. I don't know. That's pretty powerful. But who can tell? Who can tell? Let me just see what we're doing. We're at 47 minutes already. Jesus. This has gone fast tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Only got time for a little short stories now. Well, let's see what we can do. Huh. This one sounds good. I'll pull up just a couple more then and see where we end up. Sure, it'd be a long one too, wouldn't it? All right, so this one's coming from California. A year ago, we found out that our house in 1878 was. A year ago, we found out that in our house, in 1878, a 15-year-old girl had been murdered. She was sleeping and was stabbed in the back with a knife, and her name was Sydney Hyde. The Hydes never lived there again. Now, the spirit of Sydney haunts our house for over a year. Well, I'm sure she's haunted it a lot longer than a year. But anyway, we moved in 2006, about Christmas time. After living in the house for about a month, I couldn't sleep all night. And I noticed that the lights in the hall were flickering. And of course, I thought it was my little 7-year-old daughter not sleeping in the middle of the night. So I went to check on her. And when I walked out of my bedroom, I saw that she was sleeping in her bed and the lights were flickering off and on by themselves. Afterwards, my daughter told me that when she woke up one day to go to school and went into her changing room, the hangers with her clothes were sliding. I thought this had to be dealt with in some way, so my husband and I sat in my little girl's room as she slept, and screaming was heard coming from everywhere. It woke my daughter, and we all ran from it. My husband and I called a ghost hunter that was closest to us in Glendale, and he came the next morning and said he'd have to stay in my little girl's room that night so he could see what Sydney wants and how to maybe get rid of her. So he sat with us and discussed the matter closely and asked questions like, around what time did the screaming start, and did you notice any particular smell or something that you really wanted at the time, like some ghosts make you want watermelon or to drink lemonade? And it all sounded really strange, as if it was some kind of show contestant. But I still answered his questions, and we found out that my daughter was the most sensitive to the ghost. She told us that every time she is in the room alone, she smells some type of perfume that she doesn't know the name of, and I was amazed at this fact. The ghost hunter suggested that we should see if she can recognize the perfume, and he took out his case that he was carrying and told her to sniff little samplers. He was carrying a case of perfumes. She shook her head no to everything, and the ghost hunter almost lost hope of finding the right perfume when she sniffed the second to the last sampler and told him that was it. The perfume was an old French Chanel No. 5, and it was mid-17th century. Well, how the hell is this guy going to be carrying around a case of old cologne and perfumes? That doesn't make any sense to me. We took turns smelling the sampler to trying to remember the smell so we could recognize it when the room begins to smell like it. That same night, we sat in the girls' room and listened, and there it was again, that frightening screaming that almost deafened us. And it was not that it was very loud; it was that it was so scary. We stayed in the room with the hunter at this time, so we could see what he was going to do. And he leaned against the bed and almost yelled, "Are you Sidney Hyde?" The screaming ceased. It was quiet as the dead for the next few moments, and then the pillows in the bed rocked silently. The hunter nodded to us. "You like Chanel number 5, don't you?" he asked the ghost, and the clothes hangers screeched against the metal bar that they were hanging on. The hunter nodded to us again, and the smell came into the room. It became very cold all of a sudden, and my daughter ran and hid behind me, and I told the ghost hunter that we would continue this later when she gets to sleep a little. She had been awake for 3 nights and had no naps whatsoever, so I would assume that she was tired, and we went to my bedroom, and I sat next to my daughter as she lay there on the bed. "Mommy, I can't sleep. I'm thinking about her," she told me. I insisted on her sleeping, but she kept repeating that she was thinking of her, of Sydney. I told the ghost hunter that we had to get out of the house, and my husband called a hotel, Comfort Suites, and we drove there, and on our way there, she finally fell asleep. She was that tired that it overpowered everything she was thinking of. We went to sleep as well, and by morning we heard a fire truck or siren of that sort, and when we went back home, we discovered that the house was charcoal black and that all of our belongings were burnt. The house itself was standing in perfect shape. It was just that it was black. We were told that the oil pipes were leaking and that something made a spark and the house was on fire for split seconds before it turned black, but luckily no one was inside. Huh. Well, I guess that's fortuitous, right? I don't know. A strange story. I don't understand how a ghost hunter just happened to carrying around a rack of perfumes, even dating to the 1700s. That doesn't seem real likely to me. I don't understand that at all. I think that one's probably not real, but what do you do? I hope it was entertaining all the same. All right, so the next one, New York. How are we doing here? How are we doing? Yeah, this will be it. I don't know how long. No, this one's pretty short. My family and I had a cat named Delilah for 10 years, and we'd gotten really close to her, and she started growing these growths. They weren't cancerous, so they can't really be called tumors, but it was like one huge clump, or should I say series of clumps. Delilah would always limp whenever she would walk, and it was such a sad sight. And so one day, on her last day, she had a vet's appointment, and how I dreaded that day. I was too sad to go because we all knew what was destined for Delilah, and my parents just asked, "Is it time, Doc?" He said, "Yes, oh yes, it's time." And that was it. Delilah was dead. Bam. For a while, I hated the vets because they just kill an animal like that. But I guess it's better that way. Then a little over a month later, we adopted another cat named Dora. She was great, and she would explore everywhere. I guess it's a fitting name, right? Dora. One morning, I had to wake up for school, and I was eating breakfast. And I hate having the light on when I just woke up, and I saw a black figure walk past my chair in the dark. It was a little figure, of course, and it was a cat. I know it wasn't Dora, the new cat, because she had white, big, patchy spots on her back. Delilah's back was all black, and Dora was somewhere else in the house. I don't know. It could have been my eyes, I guess, but a year or so later, I was at my aunt and uncle's house for Thanksgiving. Their dog died months ago, and I could have sworn I saw a dog-like figure when I was there, but I'm not so sure, so I don't take my word on it, and I've always wanted to see a ghost, so seeing a cat or dog's ghost is really cool, but I don't really know if I did, but I'm pretty sure that I did see Delilah. There you have it. I don't know. Perhaps it's legitimate. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is when I'm out there looking for stories, I don't know. I don't know if they're real or not. All I can do is just read the narrative and just go, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. This is weird. And a few stories tonight have kind of tripped my BS meter, and yeah, it is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of people just trying to just see if they can fool people, or maybe they just want to do some creative writing, or they really believe these things happened to them, and maybe they did to some degree. But I think, in those cases, if they were based on actual events, they were some pretty huge fabrications along with it. But whatever the case is, it's all about a discussion here on the portal. So we have discussions, and I hope you've enjoyed tonight's discussion. I love discussing with you guys, so we got that going for us. BS alert, exactly. Well, Duke, you know what I'm talking about. In the world of the cryptids and Bigfoot, there's all kinds of BS going on. So there's no shortage of it there. Your BS meter's got to be pretty acute yourself. So anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this journey into the Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I will be back, of course, tomorrow night to do it all over again. I hope you'll join me then here on the portal, and all of you that are here right now, all 34 or so, depending. I guess we made it up to about 37 people tonight. That's pretty good for a Sunday night. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but whoever can make it, I love seeing you guys come in. So I hope you all have a wonderful day tomorrow. I know it's Monday. Again, mental exercise. Put it up. Just say to yourself, tomorrow's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be a phenomenal day. Tomorrow's just going to be absolutely phenomenal. And put it out there. See if you can manifest it. And if you're wrong, well, but you took a shot at it. If you're right, then you're going to have a great day tomorrow. So what does it hurt to think positive? So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll be back tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, tomorrow the new podcast drops. Actually, tonight at midnight. But I don't know. Get it when you can, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you're enjoying the podcast, definitely give Don a pat on the back, because he's been doing all the producing. He's been putting them all together. And I think he's doing a good job. I mean, sometimes we don't give him a lot to work with. So he's putting them together at least very respectfully and doing a nice job. So anyway, guys, that's going to tear it up for tonight. But sweet dreams, everybody. And I'll be back tomorrow. Look for you then.
Woo!